looking at some videos as well. A shorter stream today because I am slightly tired from streaming 3 hours last time, which I totally get. You know, it's normal. It happens. Let me just fix the sound system a bit. Sound settings. Let's go here. All right, we're actually pretty good here. So we are good to go. Welcome everyone to another Central show. And this time we have a lot of updates, which immediately forced me to go live because there has been a lot of good content to talk about, guys. Again, plenty of positive news for XRP holders, plenty of good and bad. We're going to be looking at what, you know, the famous people of XRP basically said. So there is now chance for XRP to change forever. Look at this.
XRP holders, guys, in this important video, I have some crucial data to share with you in regard to XRP. And if you're invested in this coin for any reason, you definitely want to watch this video until...
Yeah, XRP's growth, you know, while Ethereum has grown right now, it's Ethereum season. That is why Ethereum is outperforming XRP. I know a lot of people are very mad, but this is literally the only reason why they are calling it. So yeah, just realize that this is not such a problem. You know, Ethereum was 1,300. So yeah, it is looking still good. XRP 1,350. Nobody has beat XRP's odds at this rate level. So yeah, let that sink in.
Till the end, because it's going to give you an edge above other investors, other traders. I have some very interesting statistics to share with you, and I promise you no one is talking about the stuff that I will share with you today. So let's get into it. It's an important one. Don't forget to like the video. Of course, can we get this one back above 1,000 likes? I appreciate you watching. Let's get into it.
Okay guys, so starting off with this important chart. On the left we have the Google search volume for XRP, and on the right...
So yeah, this is the momentum of 2024, but you got to remember 2017 was the actual peak of XRP. But in terms of like how much we could hit, like how many people we can reach is now much bigger, because also the population of crypto has become much bigger at that point. So it seems like we are returning to all-time highs, although we're not there yet. And you guys got to remember, 8 months ago for XRP was a very big milestone with the lawsuit. Everybody was talking about it. Then it slightly died down because there wasn't much to talk about. But you can see, as I have correlated, there's price trends, you know, like based on hype, how much hype there is, how much XRP will go up in price. So look at August, and it does seem like it's going towards an uptrend, and the price will go slightly higher. So yeah, just on a 1 month basis, we already saw great returns.
The XRP price chart. Now, back in July 2024, search interest for XRP really exploded, as you can see over here, and that lined up perfectly with a major breakout in the price. This is typical when hype and retail attention surge, price often reacts very sharply. Now, fast forward to August 2025, prices have pushed to new highs, as we all know, but fewer people are currently searching for XRP compared to those earlier spikes. So search volume is making lower highs while price is actually making higher highs. And this is what we call a bearish divergence between attention and price. And this suggests that the rally is not being fueled by, let's say, a wave of new retail buyers like before. Instead, this rally seems to be driven by institutions, whales, long-term holders, but not really retail FOMO, as you can see. And when you see this setup, guys, it's not an immediate crash signal or anything, but historically such divergences often appear near local or cycle tops, and the risk is this: if large holders start selling and retail demand...
Yeah, I feel like also like just sitting above $3 is good right now. The thing I'm worried about is when the whales start selling. Obviously, we still have the institutions coming in, which is gonna be, you know, thank you for all the hearts, by the way, and likes. I really appreciate that, guys. Love you all. Welcome to the channel and the chat. But yeah, this is one thing I have been seriously worried about right now is XRP just trying to go to all-time highs. Again, it's trying to go to $4. We still have institutions coming in, which is another big key advantage that XRP has. But here is the real thing. At $4, in my personal opinion, I feel like the whales will start selling off. I feel like they're going to sell off some position and we might go back to $3. And I feel like there is going to be some sort of a dip between August and October. Again, I don't have a, crystal ball to exactly predict the prices, but this is a very important factor that you guys need to realize. A lot of these whales bought at $2 and they're going to sell it. It's how you play the game. So yeah, just when you have your own XRP, just realize this is going to happen. And if you accept that, that's perfect then, because there's going to be another rally, or at least you hope for another rally when it happens.
Demand is low. There's basically less new money to absorb the sell pressure. So the bottom line, prices are still climbing for now, but without the same level of public hype we saw at previous peaks. And that is something you want to keep an eye on very closely, guys. So pay attention to these signals. I also made a comparison between the Bitcoin price and XRP's price on the weekly time frame. You can see this trend line. Bitcoin made higher highs basically since 2024. Clearly higher highs. The RSI, the relative strength index, formed lower highs. So
yeah, so the more whales, I feel like at some point, $4, the whales will decide not to buy. Because right now what happened is, literally at $4, the RSI comes stronger, which means there's more risk and it could go into overbought territory. So the reason whales bought at $1 is because they know it's going to reach $3, right? But now the risk is becoming bigger. They're still buying at $3, but are they going to buy at $4? Now, this is a question nobody knows because anything could happen. And, I'm very hopeful for the election year. And also, welcome if you're new to the channel. And thank you for smashing that like button. I provide XRP news daily. So here is the most important factor, is that the RSI getting stronger or bigger or, going up basically means more risk for them for less return. It's how it works. And at some point, they might decide to sell off their XRP and others will follow.
This exact trend line, we have seen some sell pressure, and eventually this could lead to a much larger correction, both for Bitcoin and also, of course, for XRP. So just be mindful of that. I do believe that there could be massive resistance between $4 and $5 for XRP, and for Bitcoin most likely.
I feel like it's going to be a bit before $5 because we're still trying to push $4, right? So something like 4.1, 4.2, there's going to be a big sell-off. Again, I don't have a crystal ball, but it's pretty clear to me what's happening right now. Because these whales will even get a 30% profit. They will be very happy.
Between $125,000 up to $130K. So pay attention to these levels, but this is definitely something that could be bearish, what we're seeing right now in terms of the surge interest for XRP and for Bitcoin and for a lot of other cryptocurrencies as well. Now, this is also a very interesting chart to look at. XRP's percentage of total supply in profit is currently sitting above 95%. Now, historically, when this metric reaches such extreme levels, it often lines up with local tops as profit-taking pressure starts to mount. But right now, guys, the price is around, let me see, $3.26.
So 95% of people are in profit, and this is when usually people start selling and the prices stop moving. That's very true. You got to realize a lot of people were in profit also at, 10 cents when it was at its peak. So I don't feel like this is a good indicator. It was at its peak at 15 cents, and people, if they followed this metric, percent of total supply and profit for XRP, they would have sold everything at 10 cents. XRP would never reach $1, right? So I don't trust this indicator fully because I also feel like the government coming in is the real game changer in this parts right now.
So almost anyone in XRP is currently sitting in profit. That's a lot of unrealized gains, and it means that basically any shift in sentiment could trigger heavy selling. There's also a flip side.
There's no reason for people to sell right now. The market is great. They're getting money, so why should they sell? That's literally the thing we're seeing right now.
To this, I mean, XRP has shown in the past it can sustain these high profit ratios for longer than most assets before a major correction. So if buyers keep stepping in, we could see momentum carry higher before any real pullback. But yeah, definitely be aware of this. Almost everyone is right now in profits. We have also seen that here in January when a lot of people were in profits when the price was high, and eventually we did saw a major correction due to this. So pay very close attention to this metric as well. Now this is another important chart to watch. Here you can see the whale to exchange transactions over on Binance, and we have seen the second largest XRP whale inflow in history, as you can.
So yeah, this is also for me a positive sign. If a whale buys, why do the whales buy? They do way more research than any of us, right? And I do this full time. And I feel like the whales, when they are buying big, right, they're gonna do their research when they invest, large and large amounts of money. Unfathomable amounts of money. So they will do a lot of research and say, okay, price doesn't stop here. Price does not stop at, $3. I feel like it's a safe buy at $3.2. So yeah, a lot of XRP whales have started buying. This is the truth you guys need to know. We got 20 viewers right now. Maybe we got 1,000 viewers, but you guys just need to know what exactly is happening with XRP right now. It's the truth.
You can see over here, this chart goes back to 2022, but I can tell you this is the second largest inflow in history. The largest one so far has been in December last year, and eventually we all know that that was very close to the local top for XRP before a multi-month correction. So this is definitely also something to take very serious. On the other hand, there are also some positive things here to mention, because if we look at the altcoin season index, then we do know that we are currently sitting at 53, so there's still a lot of room left here for more upside in the prices of altcoins. Typically when this meter goes above 75, you want to lock in some profits into stablecoins, because historically we always see a massive pullback whenever we go above 75 on this meter in the altcoin market, at least a multi-week to maybe even a multi-month correction for altcoins. So pay attention.
But yeah, the thing is here, this one is still in neither Bitcoin season, neither altcoin season. So what it's telling us is literally there is room to grow. What we're seeing is the same, type of hype wave. There's still way more room to grow for crypto. So that is good news. Everything here is pointing towards good news, except there's going to be probably, which we all knew is going to be a sell-off at about $4. At least, this is not financial advice, but according to statistics, what we have right now, it is very clear on what the whales are deciding to do. This is my prediction.
So if we want to talk about this, Treasury Secretary Bessent says the Federal Reserve should consider a 50 basis point rate cut. This is of course a major signal. Typically, whenever we see rate cuts, risk on assets tend to perform very well. But you should understand that the next FOMC meeting is in September. So I believe that markets are going to price in rate cuts. So we could see a rally into September, but I'm not too sure whether we're going to see a continued rally in September. So just be aware that September is historically not the best month for crypto, but I definitely believe that this potential rate cut news.
So they're saying that basically crypto is not best in September. Crypto has never been in a positive government. I feel like he forgot to mention that. Like how good right now the US government is to crypto and XRP. So I don't feel like this bull run can be compared to anything we've ever seen before. In terms of anything.
Is going to get priced into the market until September. Here we have the September rate cut odds surge to 90% following US CPI release. There's a very high probability that we will see rate cuts very soon, guys. If we look at H-bar here on the weekly time frame, we can see that H-bar broke above the Gaussian channel, which is very bullish, and it looks like the same thing that we saw in 2021 is playing out once again for H-bar. So why is that? Well, we first had an initial pump here, then we had a correction period, we broke slightly back into the Gaussian channel, eventually H-bar broke outside of the Gaussian channel.
So yeah, XRP, I don't really feel like it can even follow the same patterns. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below as well. Because I definitely think like the bullish news we have seen this week, even if this is, an indicator that's a bit oversold, again, it shows at 95. So 95% of people holding XRP in profit are in profit right now. it is not that big of a problem, because right now, and what we saw before is even Bitcoin was many times like that and still went for another new high, went over 120K. It just hit one all-time high today, yesterday, whatever you want to call it. That's why I'm not too worried about XRP, being too valued too much. It could be overbought and you see a slight correction, but it's really not that big of an issue long term. XRP, massive news today. This is not going to happen. Interest rates at $1. But again, XRP, if interest rates were $1, $10 XRP. That would be pretty crazy if we saw that, though, because that would mean that the crypto markets would literally have, the US government would have 0% chance of recession, right? But if you artificially cut interest rates, what you get is a full-on recession. You can get a full-on recession, and that's the bad thing.
Stocks and crypto alike. But I do think there's a very high probability, based off of what I'm seeing right now, that this bull run is going to be substantially crazier because of the rise of AI specifically and how that correlates to cryptocurrency and the desperate need the entire world has right now for a store of value that is sound, that is strong, that suits their needs, that represents them fairly. It's going to get insane. So why do I think that? Well, let's get into this. You guys are probably dying.
So Levi is saying AI is going to change crypto. I personally feel what's really going to change is the new XRP RippleNet, because that's the real thing they've been working, technology, and it's finally out. We already saw AI in 2021 with the crypto bull run rally in 2023, 2024, and nothing could even compare to crypto XRP's growth gains.
See what's going on here. I want to start with a statement that Trump made today. He says that interest rates should be at 1%.
That's way too low.
I want to remind you guys who are watching this video that Trump has been pushing very aggressively to remove the current chair, Jerome Powell, and to replace him with somebody who will lower rates. On top of that, Trump is also actively working to replace the current governors that are within the Federal Reserve. He was successful on doing that once already. He's going to be doing that again very soon, according to some statements he's made. And this is how the Federal Reserve works. When you have a majority within the Fed that want to cut rates, the rates will be cut. And so right now we're, I believe, at close to 4 or 3 out of 6 or 4 out of 8, something like that.
Yeah, so the interest rates are still very high. So I feel like 3 interest rate cuts is exactly what we're going to be getting. Maybe 2, but in September it is almost 100%. Because if we didn't get it now, unless we enter a very, very bad news, it is very certain. But 1%, again, if 1% interest rates would be like that, and I had a discussion today with my friends. They said it's because Trump is in real estate. And what happens is when real estate interest rates are at 1%, you can afford a lot of housing without these interest rates, right? You can buy loans. And with these loans, you can buy a lot of property. Or you can loan out to buy crypto. It would be very good for the economy, right? But it could create a recession if people would abuse it or find ways to make money.
Better in favor of cutting rates. We're basically right at the precipice of hitting that moment in time where we can actually cut rates, even with Jerome Powell as the Fed chair.
Just think about rates being already priced in.
If he is replaced, then automatically it's going to be cut, assuming Trump appoints this person and this person is wanting to cut rates. So the absolute worst case is the rate cuts don't happen until May of 2026. That's when, Jerome Powell officially is going to, of course, have his term end and Trump can replace him, the regular way. But that is if we don't get another Fed governor in that wants to lower rates, which I think...
So this is one common misconception. People feel like they can replace Jerome Powell. You cannot replace Jerome Powell because he is his own identity. The Fed makes its own decisions. So it's going to be impossible to actually replace him. What Trump can do is wait by the end of the year for Jerome Powell to leave. Then, as Levi said, they can place someone that will actually do these rate cuts. Now, this could create a problem if Jerome Powell is more experienced. This is up to debate. Personally, I feel like he has done some great stuff for economy. The thing is, we could be entering a bad market, and we got to also save the economy in that way. But right now, it's looking like we're going all-time highs, especially with the rate cuts. But the rate cuts could already pre-priced in.
It's becoming a very stressful job.
So yeah, priced in means that the price doesn't change that much.
Powell's getting. So
we're now in altcoin Ethereum season.
It has, there's a few more catalysts for us to see first. Now, of course, the markets are incredibly excited. I mean, I've seen this happen in 2021. Got till
May. Yeah, till May.
But
my
I
bad.
do think this is just the start. Ethereum just hit $4,700 per coin. Now, you guys might be wondering, Levi, what does any of that have to do with XRP? That's a great question. I mean, in a video, maybe 3 or 4 videos ago, I covered the Bitcoin season, Ethereum season, followed by the high cap season. We're seeing the Ethereum season, and Ethereum is going to top out, I think, sometime in the next 4 months, if I had to guess. And
also, we can't really guess because, stuff has happened in crypto, but I am really certain that, with Ethereum right now, it's going to be very hard that XRP flips it. But I feel like if Ethereum and Bitcoin go up, that's good for XRP, right? Because that's more money in the total trillion market cap. And guess what? Some people will sell their Ethereum, put this money into XRP. So you shouldn't feel bad if Bitcoin is growing, because this is literally going to grow XRP prices as well. And past data proves this.
Once Ethereum tops out, it's very likely that XRP is going to top out closely thereafter. And so it just happens in cycles, right? And this is why we're also seeing some nice positive price action for XRP right now. It might not be on the same level as Ethereum is, but it comes in waves, guys. Ethereum, XRP, it's going to come in waves. That's just the way that it works. I mean, yes, XRP is up on the daytime.
I feel like XRP had like 4 or 5 waves just this year of growth. Like it literally had 2 or 3 waves before it's even its own chance for growth. Again, XRP is an altcoin, which means it should join the altcoin rally. There's sudden waves of growth, right? First, there's Bitcoin, then there's Ethereum, then there's XRP. And we are suddenly seeing XRP joining Bitcoin. So yeah, seems like XRP is literally winning the race.
Technically, albeit it's not that much, especially when you look at, compared to some other things like, of course, Solana and Ethereum, they're doing amazing. But I don't think it's going to be much longer before XRP really foresees a lot of its price action. I also want to remind you guys, though, that XRP just had a massive pump because of the case ending. And so that's why it's probably not seen.
That's what I don't agree with Levi. He said that we got a massive pump because of the case ending. We got a massive pump 8 months ago. The case ending being official just pumped at 20 cents. I feel like it was already priced in and it was just finally over, right? So the price didn't really change that much. But if we look at this year, then yeah, XRP did have most of its growth, because what XRP did is, because of the case being over, it just hasn't really grown in price. What it did is readjusted to its realistic value, right? To what it should be priced without the lawsuit, without the risk of being deemed a security. So this is what a lot of people miss out, and that's my own theory, but it has worked in the past.
As much green today because it already saw a lot of green.
Smash that like button as well, guys.
We had some great news and retail was buying like crazy. But this is a really good sign. What we're seeing is institutions are trading very heavily on Ethereum and Solana, and what they're probably going to do is they're going to recycle those profits that they're making right now as retail FOMOs in onto XRP. That's my thesis, but we're going to see what happens. Now, another thing that I think is incredibly important is tariff revenue. U.S. tariff revenue has surged over 300% in July of 2025, bringing in a record $29.6 billion in 1 month.
That's a lot of money.
At this pace, tariff revenue could exceed $350 billion per year. Now, this is a massive number. In fact, I was doing some research, and the amount that the U.S. government collects for corporate income tax is actually lower than this figure every single year. So tariff revenue could exceed corporate income tax.
Well, that's because Trump is really pushing tariffs now. I feel like if he stops pushing tariffs to countries, again, we're seeing 50 new tariff announcements each month. This is definitely going to drop. Like, if Trump, decides to, there's only so many countries you can negotiate with, right? So I don't feel like 350 billion is sustainable. That's why he's focusing on other growth, stocks, AI, tech, XRP. He's going to focus on other things, not just the tariff stuff that we have seen that is basically negotiating power and more money for the U.S. government, which is good for the U.S. economy, actually. The tariffs are good, but they are not a sustainable way. You can't just increase tariffs and bring in more revenue each single year unless, we are seeing more trading volume as well from exports, imports.
America, the largest economy in the world. And so, yes, if Trump can reduce spending, which, albeit right now, they're actually increasing spending a lot. If he can reduce spending, though, they can, and interest rates are lowered, they can 1,000% afford to lower income taxes inside of America. Maybe even get rid of them altogether and continuously increase tariffs. This would be amazing for American citizens. It would suck for everyone doing business with America because they'd have to eat a lot of those costs, but this would be incredible. Incredible. And it's showing that tariffs actually can replace income tax. Go figure. That is insane. I mean, just look at this chart right here showing the growth in July. That is amazing. We're also seeing that CapEx spending is skyrocketing. The CapEx to sales ratio of the largest AI spenders has crossed 8.
Tariffs worked in 1912. Yeah, I mean, that worked 100 years ago. So I'm saying, yeah, it is making money right now. Like, tariffs are good. 1912 was a good year. But the issue is this sustainable long term? I feel like Trump is now diversifying into anything that can make money that U.S. is not doing yet. That's why they want to make their own microchips, right? It's my own theory that they're making microchips because they're trying to get a market share of what they had to import before. So now with US companies, instead, these crypto companies are going to be based in US, and he's not going to have to buy, for example, from Europe, like crypto companies or tech companies. They can just make US companies. They can make XRP the most possible thing when XRP had to work outside of US before.
18% for the first time in history. This is the
love
chart.
you guys all, by the way.
Now,
Smash that
AI
like.
companies
Really love you.
spending and technology companies spending have to do with cryptocurrency,
AI arms
Levi?
race.
Well, it's everything. If companies are spending record levels of money, if the U.S. government is bringing in record levels of money, it's showing that productivity is through the absolute roof right now. This is amazing. This is such a strong sign that this economy is doing amazingly well. Spending is through the roof. Revenues are through the roof. People are investing into the future, which is a sign that they're very confident in, that future, especially when it comes to AI and cryptocurrency.
Thank you for all updates. Appreciate you, Steven.
Stuff. So, yeah,
Yeah, it seems like pretty clear right now. I'll keep you guys updated if the markets crash or something. The most important factor is here, everything is looking very green. The U.S. government, it's never been easier to get a job or be productive than today, which means more people will put money in XRP. That's the easiest way to understand it. And I am explaining here how the U.S. government is going to help. What does the U.S. government want to make? It wants to make a good economy by making everyone rich, right? That's the most basic of it. And that's exactly what they're trying to do right now. They're trying to push and be fully autonomous. Basically, I'm not sure if that's correct word. English is my second language. But they're trying to be its own specific country that doesn't need to export anything. And it's trying to tariff everyone as well, especially the smaller countries. So yeah, I'm warning you, it's coming. The big replacement. And again, this is more and more good news we're seeing for XRP is we are seeing massive updates now for XRP. Private tokens such as XRP may be widely used as a means of payment outside the banking system in the future, replacing bank deposits. And this is literally of Bank of Malaysia. And why do we see so much news outside instead of USA is because it's just been 5 months or 3 months since XRP could even work legally in the US. XRP has been making so many partnerships in Asia, in Europe, and even Africa that they haven't been able to focus on US, which actually gives, the strongest economy in the world. It gives a great chance for another pump, because you have this untapped market that is USA.
May be widely used as means of payment outside the banking system in the future, replacing CIC or bank deposits. Meanwhile, a separate report labels Bitcoin and Ethereum unsuitable payment instruments due to their lack of scalability. Now, I wanted to go ahead and throw this into Perplexity and see how accurate this report and claim is. And here is that information. Your post accurately reflects the main findings and tone of the Bank of Negara Malaysia July 2025 working paper. Here is a concise.
So yeah, everybody focuses on the big XRP ETF or the big banks. These small wins are what actually pushes XRP, 10, 20 cents up, or even 10 cents. It really does add up in the long run.
Breakdown of the nuanced analysis. The working paper issued by the Bank of Malaysia explicitly acknowledges XRP as similar private tokens as possible alternatives to conventional monetary infrastructures and payment instruments. The document directly states private tokens such as Bitcoin or XRP may be widely used as a means of payment outside the banking system in the future, replacing the CIC or bank deposits.
Yeah, so I don't feel like XRP will replace the dollar, but the issue, the real reason why XRP exists, it's because it's trying to solve a lot of these issues that banks have had. I had to wait 2-3 days for a transfer, right? For maybe like $20. That's completely insane. What if you need the money today, which is what I need? And that is what XRP will be in the near future. In the next 3 to 5 years, XRP is going to grow even stronger because all these banks will start to accept it. Right now, they are in testing phases. And once the XRP team gets the green light, they can finally launch on basically the main net, on the main machine for the banks, which is where most of the transactions go, which is where most of the XRP will be burned.
This is not merely general crypto adoption. It's the national central bank naming XRP as a viable candidate to replace traditional deposits and cash in circulation. It signals serious institutional credibility for XRP as a payment rail, especially in regions moving towards digital and decentralized finance. The Bitcoin Ethereum scalability issue here, the report and supporting international studies explicitly labels Bitcoin and Ethereum as unsuitable payment instruments for most mainstream and DLT based use cases. The reason is their high volatility and low scalability. This is supported by European payment research and blockchain scalability discussions as well. Bitcoin processes only about 7 transactions per second. These rates pale in comparison to centralized payment systems. Visa.
We need a lot of users on chain to see actual burns, of XRP $10,000 per day. The lawsuit was dropped, but I feel like that's already priced in.
At thousands TPS. So Visa can go up to 50,000 TPS a second. It runs usually about 3,000 to 5,000. MasterCard can scale to about, 3,000 to 5,000, and it can scale higher as well. American Express, I believe, is around 14,000, if I can remember correctly. So these payment systems do scale into the tens of thousands.
The issue is not Visa or MasterCard. These are the competitors. So what XRP is doing is like less than Swift right now, which is a global transfer. It does 15,000, which is like a third of it. The real issue is trying to replace the banking system because, for payments, yes, you have Swift, but for XRP, what you have is basically nothing to send these bank transfers, right? You have to wait days. So XRP is not really there. It could be, working, paying with a card. That's what Swift does right now. That's what MasterCard does right now. Not Swift. I mean like Visa and all these service providers. They're trying to make that faster in the banks now.
Get very seriously.
So yeah, 3 seconds per transaction. I feel like they will even make this faster with the power of AI in the next few months or years. This is from 2017. This is what their source is from 2017. So they are working probably on a patent that is going to make transactions faster than ever. even faster in Bitcoin, but it's already outperforming competitors in crypto.
Second, no one's going to take it very seriously to service or the main argument you hear from Bitcoin people is that, this technology is the next financial system. You're absolutely right. Blockchain technology is the next, is the new financial system, but it's not Bitcoin, right? There's no KYC, there's no AML, there's not the compliance things that banks are looking for to be able to use this tool, for the tokenization of financial products and all of these other things, stablecoins, right? The XRP Ledger and Ripple and central bank connections, additional context, Ripple and XRP are increasingly seen as bridge assets for cross-border payments and value transfer between fiat currencies and digital assets. Several central banks, including the European Central Bank and Japan's Project Stella, have studied Ripple's technology for modernizing payment rails. Ripple has launched upgrades and compliance features for the XRP Ledger, including support for Ethereum compatible smart contracts, lending, and asset tokenization, making it more bank friendly. By 2025, Ripple introduced RLUSD, a stablecoin. It's over 600 million now, aiming to bolster the ledger liquidity and institutional adoption.
That's why they launched it, actually. There's a very good reason they launched it. Ripple USD is because it actually enables the banks to work easier in that way. So they will already have a solution for stablecoins to use it worldwide. This is what people forget to mention. I know my accent is very heavy, but XRP is already used by banks and remittance companies for fast, low-cost settlements. But again, the Ripple USD stablecoin is what really changed the game, because this is what gives the institutions an easy solution without making their own stablecoin and going through the process. Ripple will offer all of these things like payments to them, to the banks.
Liquidity and institutional adoption. Ripple has also pursued major regulatory milestones, including a U.S. national banking license and Federal Reserve master account, signaling the seriousness about the banking sector integration. Remember, there are a lot of banks who are worried about Ripple getting a banking license, but the Trump administration has made it clear they are going to support American innovation. It would be crazy to see them block this. I do think this gets through, and we will all be celebrating the day it does. Tony Edwards says, haters in disbelief, a lot of clowns posting here on X and no one is using the XRP Ledger. And then Phil Kwok says, very impressive growth on the XRP Ledger, fastest increase in real world assets compared to any other blockchain, driven by Ripple's RLUSD up 32%.
So yeah, this is a very small volume in my opinion, like for RWA and Ripple right now. 240 million is nothing, and that is for a very simple reason. It's still in testing phase, and we might not see this be even 1 billion until this is ready. Ripple is literally waiting to unleash it and show it already has beaten Ethereum, where BlackRock is building for real world assets. So yeah, BlackRock is building on the Ethereum chain, which is 150 million, and XRP Ledger is 240 million. But this will probably become at some point 1 billion, just like crypto started, just like Bitcoin's first, market cap reached 1 billion. This is the same patterns we are following. Tokenized RWAs and DeFi are going to be the sweet spot for the XRP Ledger. So this is just going to be another way for XRP Ledger to make money. Started at Ripple in 2013, left as a GM of the company, general manager of the company in 2020, and currently sits on the board. So yeah, don't sleep on RWA, guys. Again, I feel like the RWAs have 10x since January to 170 million, according to RWA. So there is a market here, and XRP is willing to put a lot of money into it.
And fixed income products are flowing in, driven by partners like Ondo Finance, the Dubai Land Department, and Mercado Bitcoin. The XRP Ledger has built in tokenization and payment rails, plus features like escrow and the native DEX. TVL and the XRPL DeFi has jumped more than 70% in a month, and it went from 95 million to 176 million. It's 10x since January. Who knows?
I feel like a lot of people still haven't realized the potential of RWAs. It's a completely different project from XRP. So for Ripple, this is like Ripple's side project, right? The real world assets. But they're a very important thing because they could go mainstream. And when Ripple is there, it's going to offer these services to banks as well. It's going to be extra profit. So look at this. It's on live television. Literally, Ripple is on live television. XRP is mentioned on live TV. This is the first step of going mainstream. Remember Bitcoin when it went mainstream? Remember Shiba Inu token? All of these are the ones that went mainstream.
Fuzzy and grainy, but it's funny that you are starting to see mainstream news paying attention and telling their audiences about XRP.
So is Ripple the next big breakout coin? And if so, how do you even buy it? Fear not, because our very own crypto baller, BK, is here to tell us exactly how to do just that. BK.
Yeah, sure. So Ripple has been on an absolute tear. And just to add to what Seema talked about,
it's not your screen, guys. This thing is fuzzy. I do apologize, but it's another 20 seconds here.
Ripple really is going after is the SWIFT network, or international payment transfer. So what you're talking about here is an upgrade of the international financial system. And that's a very big market. So that's why people are very excited about it. So let's go to Poloniex and figure out, how do we buy this here? So here I am. I'm on the Poloniex website. You can see over on this side, here's all the trades that are going on. Remember, cryptocurrencies trade 24/7. This market never sleeps. Okay, so here we have Ripple. You can see these big moves. Now let's scroll down to the order page, okay?
Anyways, they're showing you how to buy it now on TV. It's crazy. Now, I did have some questions about this post. I want
500 million cash to acquire Intermex, a confirmed Ripple ODL user since 2020. A lot of people said that this is connected to Western Union works with XRP or Ripple, and that they're going to buy, XRP at some point, or XRP is going to buy Western Union. I don't feel like they have enough cash yet. I don't feel like XRP can buy Western Union yet. It's a global wide company. It's like Amazon basically buying Google, right? It's going to take a long time before that happens, but people start to see the resemblance here. People start to see that right now something is happening behind the scenes. Ripple ODL user, Intermex wire. So indirectly, Western Union bought a part of Ripple.
I wanted to look at this with you so we can better understand this. The claim here is that Western Union just dropped $500 million in cash to acquire Intermex Wire, a confirmed Ripple and XRP ODL user since 2020. This is a massive move to dominate money flows across all of America. XRP's global takeover is no longer coming. It's here. Now, I wanted to go ahead and just fact check this to see if this information is correct. So I put it into Perplexity. Yes, this acquisition is legit. On August 10th, Western Union officially announced its agreement to acquire International Money Express for $16 per share in cash, totaling approximately $500 million. This offer is substantial premium to Intermex's previous share price and was unanimously approved by both companies' boards, subject to regulatory approval. But
I feel like we always see some sort of partnerships like these, and they aren't even announced. We just saw Ripple buy $200 million company, and there was just a few news articles. Like, everybody forgot about them acquiring Rail. So again, 500 million is just how these companies expand. And I feel like Ripple now, with extra set of money, is going to announce more companies they will buy. Exactly for that reason. They have a lot of companies on their plan.
Financial impact. But the Ripple and ODL connection here, your claim that Intermex is a Ripple ODL on-demand liquidity user since 2020 is accurate. Intermex has publicly acknowledged testing and using Ripple's on-demand liquidity solution for cross-border transfers since at least February 2020. However, none of the official press releases or deal announcements explicitly mentioning Ripple, XRP, or ODL as a driver for the acquisition or as a strategic asset is in the deal, while the underlying fintech and cross-border payment landscape, including Ripple, will likely influence Intermex's value. Western Union is positioning the acquisition as an expansion of traditional and digital remittances. So, the claim could be accurate here, right? They are using the technology, but there's been no announcement saying that this was the specific reason they bought it. But that's really good.
Yeah, I don't feel like that is correlated. I feel like they tested and bought maybe a small part of it. But we are talking about, what the future is going to be is that Ripple will potentially have these micro companies, and maybe one of the big companies, in my opinion, will want to buy Ripple at some point, or already have offered. All of these banks or a big payment transfer will want to buy Ripple because of its technology itself. But Ripple doesn't want to sell because it knows its potential, right? So it's literally going to grow, and it probably refused many millions, maybe even billions from these companies that might grow old. In fact, old, because they don't have that technology that Ripple has built.
Face each other left and right here. And there's a lot of, I know there's some conspiracy theories. We won't go down that rabbit hole, but explain to me why you think these two companies are in so unique lockstep.
Well, after 2008, BlackRock's whole premise, and you know, I've said this before, and I think it's plausible that they could be a proxy for the government to be able to make sure that the stock market and everything's maintained. Other countries, you know, just buy stocks directly. We can't do that here in the U.S. So you need something to be able to add stability to markets. But their whole objective has been to repackage the debt and kind of float that out over time so that it wouldn't be one big impact on the economy. And so that's, you know, kind of the same thesis here. I think if you saw a large impact to the economy coming and you needed a liquidity buffer, I think XRP could provide a really good solution for that, to be able to route through the DEX and mitigate the breaking of systems, to be able to settle stuff on the back end. And then also, you know, we have 1933 when they revalued gold and offset our debt.
Yes.
Right. To revalue gold to the level it would need to be to offset the debt at this point would be astronomical. And a lot of people are betting on that. Right?
There's a few of them out there. Andy Schechtman, who's been on my show before,
brilliant people.
He believes that's going to be the model to reset the system, is a gold back debt reduction of just, you know, revaluing gold, you know, to what they think it would be, is around $30,000 an ounce.
Yeah, it would have to be. It currently sits at like $42 and change on the Fed's balance sheet, right? So it's not even up to what it is today. But if you had another mechanism by which you just start leveraging or utilizing an asset that was also sitting on balance sheets, you have assets and liabilities, right? And so if your liabilities are way up here and your assets are down, but you could just start using that asset and it would drive the value up, you don't have to reprice it.
Yeah.
It'd be a really interesting way for them to be able to offset a large majority of the debt. And I think a lot of people have already...
So Jake Claver is calling that they might sell off, you know, the gold, and he's even calling for oil crash. And that's why XRP, you know, could go to $600. Now, he's also been calling, if there's a huge market crash, that basically all this money will come back and they will rebuild the system. You know, the system comes back stronger, just like we saw 1936, the year 1936. Now, I don't quite agree with that, because we saw what happened when the market crashed in 2009. It absolutely destroyed everything. People lost their lives, their homes, everything. And that's why I don't feel like, you know, actual huge reset in the system, but I you know, definitely respect his decision for thinking that way. And he probably knows more than me, is going to be a big thing, like with the oil stuff, everything we see right now. What we need to see is just the economy growing. Like at this rate, XRP will do very good if the economy does not change.
Put that thought forth with the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, let's buy a bunch of Bitcoin in the US, and as it appreciates, you know, the balance sheet looks a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think the point being behind this is we are in such a unique time. It's like I say a lot of times, is that it's very similar to the birth of the internet, but this is the birth of the new finance infrastructure. We haven't seen this in our lifetime. You know, this is all the way back to Bretton Woods, essentially, which is essentially, if you look at when Bretton Woods happened, all the way through the when the Fed.
Okay, well, there you go. Nothing about Ripple and BlackRock in the clip, so I don't know why they mislabel some of.
So yeah, a lot of the times he's talking about how Ripple, you know, crashing, or a big crash that would happen would actually explode the markets because we would come back stronger. But there's other ways for Ripple to really pump in that way.
That's some big news.
Big Ripple holders. Let's take a look at that.
Is in here.
There's some big news that came out today, and I'm really wondering, everyone is talking about big news. So what is it really? Because every single day for Ripple, we get about, you know, probably like 300, 400 minute news, and I try to combine it right into the one video. So smash that like button if you haven't already. I really appreciate you all. But this time, we're going to be checking if this news is going to be worth for Ripple to go to $4.
Get straight into it. Now, first, I want to talk to you about some very significant numbers that came out here today and their importance for XRP holders. Because we have the U.S. Treasury here today post a 291 guys, billion with a B, budget deficit for July. Now, why is that important? For two reasons. Number one, this is the second largest of any Julys ever in history. So this is a very large number. Second off, we now have interest rate cuts in terms of percentage
So yeah, US has a lot of deficit because right now, the first year Trump came into basically becoming the president, there was a lot of money spending. But the money spending isn't bad as long as the country is really productive. So don't think of this as like a start of a recession, because you can have big deficits, but if you are earning a lot of income, it is not a bad thing at all. Just look at XRP. There's plenty of people selling, but because it's getting more inflows or people buying, that's why the price goes up. So very simple economics.
99% for essentially every single source out there that is worth listening to. Yesterday we were sitting at 90.95. Now essentially every source out there is showing the chances at 99% higher for an interest rate cut in September. Now,
I feel like it's almost like 100%. If it didn't get rate cut now, the only thing that would happen is if something so bad happened, which I can't even mention on YouTube, is that we would be entering a full-on recession. The stock market would crash like 60%.
Yesterday, guys, I talked about how I wouldn't be surprised if Jerome Powell came out and stuck it to Donald Trump once more, because we know the games they play. But what this shows us essentially is that we are going to see interest rate cuts at some point in time. Don't know if it's going to come in September, but it will come, and trillions will come with it, flowing in globally, because it won't just be the US. We're going to see other countries around the world start cutting rates as well. Now, do we need to see interest rate cuts to see XRP moon? Absolutely not. And I want to talk to you about something Donald Trump said here today. I know many of you are aware.
There's actually plenty of ways for the price to grow. It's not just interest rate cuts. I feel like they're slightly priced in, like people are already expecting them. So don't be disappointed when you only see, XRP 5% up that day or 7% up. Sure, people will buy, but we saw this in the past history. Big news, and then we got a total nothing burger, right? We didn't get any news at all. So with the SEC case drop, that wasn't the case, but there was plenty of times of news when we heard this date, XRP Ripple case is gonna change the world. And guys, we didn't see anything. Then suddenly on a Friday or a Monday, you're sitting at home and you see XRP up 40%. This is how crypto works. It works very fast.
What he said on crypto, but I want to play you this quick clip as a recap and to discuss what he and his son Eric said here today. Check it out.
Many Americans are unaware that behind the scenes, the technical backbone of the financial system is decades out of date, many, many years out of date. You know that. Paul and others are straightening it out, but payments and money transfers are costly and take days or even weeks to clear. Under this bill, the entire ancient system will be eligible for a 21st century upgrade using the state-of-the-art crypto technology. Who would have thought we would have been saying that 2 years after?
Now, guys, what he was talking about there as far as the upgrade in this financial system and, how the system right now is decades old, the plumbing needs fixed, and how you and I as Americans, or whether you're in Europe or countries that actually have financial infrastructure already with banking established, we don't see it as much or feel it as much because
I feel like I couldn't call it like a destroyed system because the US country is very well developed. I would call it more of a financial upgrade where everything gets faster, people save time, and in terms they become more productive. Productivity is good for the economy. And this is exactly what Trump wants to do. He wants to enable XRP Ripple by literally making these bank transfers faster, more automated, so people can focus being productive on more other things.
Have credit cards and debit cards and so forth. But those transactions can take days to weeks, and the system behind the scenes is ancient. And so we need this upgrade. Stablecoins, RLUSD being the most compliant, and XRP to bridge it all together. He didn't say XRP or RLUSD in that clip, and a lot of people will FUD that. But you're never going to have it that way. We've got to be able to see and watch what they are doing and saying, because we got to be able to read through the lines. We got to be able to research and know what is happening. What makes XRP so special is a settlement payment cryptocurrency. And so as much as I would love him to post every single day the ticker symbol XRP and talk about XRP every single day,
that's not going to happen. He's not going to mention it because he's in my opinion, he's keeping his options open. If there's someone that gains more than XRP, he could literally go for that company. He's looking for a crypto-based company that will be the best payment provider. That's what I feel like is on Trump's mind right now. He wants the best one to win. And right now it's XRP, but you never know. Maybe it's going to be another one. Maybe another one is going to do something better, and they're going to do some task to ask XRP, so they're going to give some task to them and the other task to the other one. So that's why he hasn't mentioned directly which coin. He's not playing favorites, he's playing the winners.
Even though he has posted about XRP in the past, it's never going to happen that way, guys. So you got to listen closely on what's being said. And right now, hands down, XRP will be the winner. Now, a lot of people are looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and saying, why are they rising a little bit here today and XRP isn't on certain days? We've got XRP up 462% on the yearly, Ethereum up 74%, and Bitcoin 98%.
So 384% is 4 times more than Ethereum and Bitcoin. That's why Ethereum XRP stock so much. It gives more returns than Bitcoin. And again, yes, Bitcoin is like in the spotlight right now, but XRP gave bigger returns than Bitcoin this year. It's just that over the last 2 years, I feel like Bitcoin went from what, 120K? It went like 600% up.
So XRP obviously is beating them by miles. So we got to be careful in looking at the day-to-day. We had Fartcoin up 28% here today, guys. Fartcoin. Do we think that Fartcoin is going to upgrade the financial system? As we heard here today,
I feel like we're going to get the same scenario as 2021. A lot of these cryptos will disappear. A lot of these cryptos with no utility.
Trump, our banking system is failing. Crypto is the future. But is Fartcoin the future of finance, or is it XRP? We know that Bitcoin can't do what XRP is or able to and capable of doing by code, but Fartcoin could be up 28%, 35%, and down the same amount the next day. Those are highly speculative, volatile assets. XRP is a cryptocurrency. I'm able to, you're able to, most of us are able to sleep well at night in knowing the connections we have here with the institutions and those that matter. And so the important message I wanted to put out here today, as we start to see what is unraveling, right? And we take a look at what's happening with Ethereum, inflows, net inflows coming in, piling in with the ETFs, knowing the institutions are in more than ever. We see Ethereum rising over 30% in a week off ETF inflows. Take a look at the price of Ethereum, guys, versus XRP. And people want to tell me with a straight face that XRP can't go to $100 when it is designed to be of a high value. That party in Indiana is going to happen much faster.
Like, people are already calling for the bull run to be over right now. I mean, we waited 4 years for this. 4 years for XRP to do this. 4 years for the lawsuit to be over. And people are calling it just before even the corporations can legally come in. So right now, most of these corporations cannot buy XRP. They're going in big. And that's what makes it unlike anything we've ever seen before.
And many think, I do believe. And this is a cryptocurrency still to this day being slept on, sitting in single digits. We got Bitcoin here today that hit 122,000 as a store of value. And behind the scenes, what's happening? We're showing you whales are buying. We just recently covered how almost 1 billion in tokens were bought, while what did retail do? Sold. And so here we go again. As I stated yesterday, people getting a little bit anxious. When's the next move? When's the next move? Got to understand, this is the most anticipated altcoin for what is coming. Upgrade of the financial system. When they tell us, we have to listen. So one of the most important points of this video and a quick takeaway is understanding where we are at in this digital revolution, because what we heard today was Trump essentially talking about RLUSD and XRP without actually saying it. This is how early we are. Because
I feel like Trump doesn't want to mention XRP yet. As I said, doesn't want to play favorites. Once the right time comes, once he announces the winner, it might be XRP. And that will really boost the price, in my opinion. But he's already been very vocal. Microchips, AI, stocks, crypto. This is what he wants to source from US and not from other countries. This is going to be the future, AI. Now, when I first heard it, I thought it was going to be like NFTs, but now I see the power of it, and I feel like Trump is doubling down on technology. Look at NVIDIA. It's the biggest US gainer. Look at all these US stocks. Like 4 of them are literally coming from US. So we are going to be entering probably a US-based era of crypto companies, probably maybe the next Google. Could it be XRP leading the wave? I feel like we're still super early in crypto. So from 1 to 10 of how early we are in crypto right now, I would say about a 4 or maybe like a 3.5. If 10 is like, already missing everything that's going to happen with crypto. So 1 was when crypto was created and 3.5 was like 2021 or 3. So yeah, just we're still super early, and it's going to take like multiple years, but Trump is going to be in office multiple years, which is the good news. XRP has a lot of time to grow. These gains, like a lot of them will not come overnight as people expect. They will be coming, step by step, breaking new barriers. XRP holders, get ready now. I always get ready for Miles G. But the most important factor is he made a quick announcement on the price, and he was actually correct because he called the crypto bear market or the flash crash we saw. He said it was just a small drop. And guess what? He was right. He was right. We did see a small drop for XRP, and it suddenly rallied. So what's next for XRP? That is the big question right now.
This whole week, the only coin that hasn't moved is XRP.
And that's normal because XRP has been up 300% last year. So while other coins are going up, it is normal because I feel like it's going to join an altcoin hype cycle.
XRP is about to get a massive capital rotation. You cannot believe it. We have an XRP ETF coming. They're cutting rates. It's going to be absolutely crazy. So make sure you guys give this video a thumbs up if you love XRP, and stick around. You guys cannot miss what I have in store for you today. So XRP, look at this bull flag here. XRP has broken out of this pattern all the way since the 12th of August, which is yesterday. So we've broken out, we've retested multiple times, and now the breakout is just waiting for the next leg up.
So a lot of people miss about the breakout is that the breakout isn't until $3.9. $4.1 when there's a new support level. So there's going to be a massive hard part to actually break to $4.1. But the first, breaking out from $3.3 to $3.9 is way easier than the 20-cent gains and 10-cent gains. We're going to push it $4. That's going to be the hardest part. This, we already reached 3.66 for XRP, but going to all-time highs like $4 or $5 is going to be the hard part.
And the target for this particular pattern, we are just going to measure from this particular move here to the breakout level, and that is going to get us close to $4. This is just the minimum conservative target that I think XRP can reach here in the short term. When XRP starts to break out with volume, and we start to break out above these highs here around $3.40, $3.70, when we start to break out around here, this is when it shows that volume has pushed up to this level, and we're going to go absolutely bananas. So you guys better lock in. We were able to buy XRP even to the very lows here. If you guys join my private community, you are going to get alerts when I'm buying and selling, as I make millions of dollars a year trading crypto. So you guys can copy and follow.
So yeah, this is when he called that XRP is going to bottom. I don't feel like we're going to see $2 for anytime soon, because whenever I see someone saying I'll buy $2, the whales will already get it at $2.5. This is why XRP is reaching new highs, is because it's building support levels very fast. So it's looking very good for XRP right now, because right now people are still buying it at above $3 range, which is 6 times more than it was a year ago.
Discovery is going to go absolutely crazy. Solana, look at this. Solana has recovered the entire dip. We are back to $200. So in my opinion, We are probably going to see $300 for Solana very soon. The stock market made new all-time highs today. I mean, everything is extremely bullish. Look at Bitcoin dominance. We have finally, as I told you all, we've reached our target and we have lost this key support. So Bitcoin dominance is now officially in a downtrend and in a very strong downtrend. So we should see this key support here around 54% for Bitcoin dominance. We are starting to see the strength of altcoins wake up. And it's getting absolutely ridiculous. Oh my gosh, look at the gain. So OKB up 134% this week. Ray up 40%. Arrow 80%. I mean, the majority of altcoins are up 10, 20, 30%.
So everything except XRP is up this week. And I feel like it's deserved. Not because I hate XRP, but because we have been seeing XRP grow when all these were down, red. And now the tables have turned. I feel like some of the whales, in my opinion, probably sold a small amount. Like maybe they sold like 20% of their holdings to buy altcoins. This is a very possible scenario. This is what they usually do. They get money so they can actually pump other altcoins and buy other stuff and make more money.
This week, Aave up, Pump Fund Token up, OP up, ENA up, Chainlink up, Theta. I mean, God.
XRP is still here. It's still green. So it's still 10% up. It's literally like a top 4 crypto, and it gives the same amount of returns except like these 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever you want to call them, like Link, as other tokens. Like it gives same returns as Pepe, Jupiter, Bitcoin. Like it's same returns as Bitcoin. So it's not really that down. Like people were saying XRP is down. It's not. It's right here below. People just don't notice it because they were seeing all-time highs, 20% gains. Everything was red. XRP was the only one green. We had days like that.
It is going to get absolutely crazy. A lot of these meme coins, in my opinion, have not moved yet. Dogecoin, Pepe, Dog with Hat, a lot of these meme coins, ladies and gentlemen, they have not moved much. And guess what? They're going to start to wake up. When Bitcoin breaks all-time highs, that's when altcoins and meme coins start to go absolutely crazy. You guys are not prepared for how bullish this market truly is. And I mean, guys, take a look at this. Look at Algo Sniper gave you guys a buy alert when Bitcoin finally bottomed. And look at this massive move. You guys got a sell alert at the previous all-time highs before it crashed. You guys should also check out this indicator, which you guys can try today for free. It's actually for free today. It's no longer $1. It's actually free. The link for everything I'm mentioning.
So yeah, it seems like XRP is still, you know, people being worried about only going up 5%. You got to stay realistic. We saw the prices drop very heavily for XRP during, 50 to 20 cents and people sold. I'm not telling you this in the video is not financial advice. But for me, it's very clear that XRP still is going to join the altcoin rally. Right now, it's Ethereum in the wins and some Bitcoin. But I still feel like XRP is going to join other altcoins. It's still that. It still has, retail coming in. And it's a top 3 crypto. Top 3. And it could be still undertapped. At least, that's what whales do. They're still buying massive amounts. Just 2 weeks ago, they bought a few million, which is a very strong amount. So yeah,
$2,000.
XRP expert predicts $2,000 by 2026. Now, $2,000 is not going to be easy, and I'm going to be explaining you guys. Jake Claver has been calling for $2,000 XRP and how it could happen in theory, right? But this is a very, very big question a lot of people have. Will XRP ever reach $2,000? And it's going to be hard because we're now pushing for $4. Especially by the end of the year, they're calling for insane numbers like $1,000 and we can retire forever. The good news here is crypto has really seen some amazing gains. And with these type of amazing gains, you can also see XRP go up that much.
To hear for the people out there who are like, Jake, let's go January 1st, 2026. Where do we think XRP could be and how do we get there?
If all of the events and catalysts play out in the time frame that I think that they will, $1,500, $2,000 XRP, and I know that sounds crazy, and that's fair.
Okay, so $15,000, like $1,500 for XRP would basically mean it's one of the biggest assets in the world. Even to hit $15, that would be Bitcoin's price right now. So this would be more than the US dollar. So people would be using XRP for the US dollar. This is why I don't think, it is possible, but I'm definitely not underestimating his situation, because he was correct on a lot of these oil crashes.
What are we talking about here? I did a video on this already, but just to catch you up if you didn't watch that video, Jake believes these events will happen in the next few months, and this will cause XRP's price to go to $1,000 to $2,000. Unwinding of the reverse carry trade, Claver's view is he sees a major liquidity shift in global reserve carry trades unwind, moving capital from traditional markets into digital assets like XRP. This could occur in periods of intense macro volatility or monetary policy shifts.
So yeah, they're saying like that because the US dollar will be so weak, they will start using crypto. The US government will suddenly announce. Like, this is not 20 to 30%. This is probably less than 0.001%. This is not a 30% chance of happening. This is like basically the US government taking crypto, if I understand correctly, taking crypto and making it into a digital asset is less than 1%, way less than 1% for this to happen. And the only time we had a digital tender is in another country for Bitcoin. That wasn't even for XRP. XRP is at very early stages of development and can't handle this type of transfers.
As rate changes and such, the probability of this happening is 20 to 30%. Of course,
and then he says also that Tether failing would be good for XRP. But the issue is Tether has, I respect Jake, the issue is here. Tether has, a lot of fail-safe that it won't crash. The second thing is a lot of exchanges own Tether. So if Tether goes down, so the other exchanges, right? So does the entire crypto market. And the third thing, why would people buy XRP if they won't have any money to buy crypto? Because all their stablecoins will be gone.
Of course, he believes that there was going to be some extra scrutiny put on Tether, and that will cause Tether and Bitcoin to kind of collapse. Claver's view, if U.S. agencies...
So he's basically calling about a big reset that is gonna, crash crypto. But we saw this big reset in 2022. And when we saw this big reset with Terra Luna Classic, we didn't see Terra Luna Classic roll back stronger. We saw the crypto crash even further. When we saw these exchanges go down, the Black Swan events, we literally saw the prices go down. Now they are back up, but they are not back up because crypto rebuilt itself. They're back up because the economy is improving, because the country is more productive. So this is the real reason why I don't think this will ever happen. I feel I'm very vocal. If the crypto economy crashes, if Bitcoin crashes, so will other cryptos.
Launch coordinated action potentially under the Genius Act against Tether. It could trigger panic in the stablecoin ecosystem. He speculates that a loss of confidence in USDT might lead investors to XRP as a safe haven. He also kind of mentions, since Tether does kind of prop up Bitcoin's price, that if Tether wasn't able to do that anymore, people would be going out of Bitcoin and into XRP. Regulatory clarity for XRP. This is something that we already got. I don't really need to get into this with you. The SEC dropped their cross appeal. Now we're waiting for the ETFs to be approved. We're getting an update in mid to late August.
This is definitely not going to happen. They won't just start using Tether, XRP dollars, because they are Tether still built up this over many, many years, all these partnerships, and all these big exchanges are using Tether. They're not using XRP dollars. They're made for banks and payment processing. To hit the size you have with Tether right now, transferring $1-2 billion with ease, is going to be way harder.
Mid to late October, I do apologize. I think it's 18th, 19th, and 20th. We should get some information from the SEC about specific spot XRP ETFs. XRP becoming the global reserve currency, or global bridge currency, excuse me. Claver's view is he positions that XRP will serve as the world's bridge currency, facilitating cross-border payments and institutional scale settlements. This implies adoption by banks and governments at scale that we've never seen before. This is a very low probability, less than 5%.
This is less than 0.01%. Global bridge currency, reserve bridge. Again, that would mean that we could be seeing, instead of gold, this would be XRP. The treasuries hold gold, they would hold XRP. Why wouldn't they hold Bitcoin, for example?
less than 5%. Supply shock, this is something that I do believe we could see. Flavors view institutional and enterprise adoption combined with utility-driven demand payments and financial protocols creates an XRP shock supply if banks and governments start using XRP.
This could definitely happen, but it wouldn't pump it to, you know, $1,000, $2,000. I think 15 to 25%. I feel like we're going to get a supply shock for XRP at some point, but right now the biggest problem is there is still a lot of supply of XRP. So you're not going to see this anytime soon. And if we see a supply shock, it's going to be like $15.
XRP for settlement, demand could far outstrip the available supply. Now, I did a deep dive on how much XRP is really left on exchanges. There's only about 8 to 9% of XRP available. Most XRP, especially over the last few months, has been taken off of these exchanges.
So you can buy all of the 9%. The issue is, if you buy all of the 9%, either more will be added by the exchanges or people wanting to sell. Like, exchanges still hold their own XRP from the fees. So that's another factor that you guys have to consider. Even if you buy like 12%, there's going to be people like, whoa, exchanges have none. Well, let me just offer it to everyone else. And then the price will immediately pump to $20. These are way harder scenarios. Never has it happened that Bitcoin has basically been sold out on all exchanges. Never have we seen Bitcoin being sold out
at, you know, an alarming pace. And so if we woke up tomorrow and more companies are getting into treasuries and they want to give this demand for XRP, we could see a massive supply shock. Also, all of the spot ETFs, they're going to need to supply those ETFs with actual XRP. Buying that off the open market would create an enormous inflow. There's people like the CEO of Canary Capital that thinks in the first few weeks we could see up to $5 billion come into XRP. Now, we do know by looking at the inflows and outflows of XRP, getting that fresh inflow, we could see an up to 500x market cap multiplier on that value. So just to give you an understanding, 5 billion at a 500x multiplier would bring us to a $2.5 trillion market cap for XRP, bringing us well into the multiple digits here. In order to get to $1,000 or $2,000, you're talking about a 50 trillion or $100 trillion market cap for XRP to get to those levels. And he also sees some...
That's going to be very hard. Again, we're trying to reach for $4, not like 20 at first. Now we're trying to go for 1,000.
Geopolitical crisis and liquidity events.
We need to exceed 59 trillion. So basically double the value of gold, which isn't that crazy. You know, double value gold, but more than the US stock market itself. So I guess more than the US dollar, double value the gold, and more than the US stock market itself. I feel like all of these combined,
macro,
that's going to be impossible unless we get token burns.
Instability, Middle East conflicts, and global recession could drive institutions towards crypto assets as alternative stores of value. XRP's settlement speed and network resilience might attract capital inflows in times of crisis. Listen, guys, I really, really want this to be true, but I don't know if Jake's doing this for the views, for the clicks, for the notoriety, for the clout. People believe Jake has NDAs and he knows things that a lot of other people don't, and this is why a lot of people are putting faith into his predictions. I just want to caution and warn you that these predictions are kind of insane, and it would take some really crazy shit to happen in order to get to these prices. Just please take that with a grain of salt. I would love to see XRP reach $1,000 or $2,000.
That would be nice.
Done. I could just check out for the rest of my life. I could play video games on the couch if I wanted to. No, I would miss this too much. I would miss you guys too much. But seriously, like, we all would be able to retire in those places. So I want that more than anything. I just, like, how we get there, I think we take a different path. And I just get a little nervous when we're talking about ridiculous prices in 5 months, because we already have all this BS from Bitcoin maxis, ETH maxis, now Chainlink is now, you know, starting to fight us too. And this kind of makes us look silly in a way, right? It's like saying Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million tomorrow. Obviously, we know it's not going to go to $1 million tomorrow, but Bitcoin could go to $1 million over the next few years. I'll leave that with what you will. Luke,
it's not going to happen overnight. Like, if we want to see XRP at $20, I don't feel like it's going to be this cycle.
judges created this new XRPL real world asset headquarters, real-time real world asset stablecoin analytics, watch TradeFi on chain. There's a lot of really cool information on this. I'm gonna leave this down in the description if you guys.
This looks nice. You can actually check where they are located, like XRP.
You guys want to jump on and play with it and let me know what you think. I think this is really, really cool. I also wanted to take a look at some data, right? Because one of Jake's predictions here was that, global bridge currency. So I just want to do an update on kind of, RippleNet partners and institutions and markets, and just to give you some actual hard data and facts here. RippleNet connects to over 100 financial institutions globally, including some of the world's largest banks and payment processors like Santander, Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, Kotak, Mahindra Bank, Itu, Umbanco, SEB, SBI Remit, Siam Bank, Commercial Bank, and more. Ripple's payment network covers 90 markets, representing over 90% of the daily foreign exchange.
So yeah, Ripple is in a good place right now. 100 partnerships is good, but if they want to reach ways of $100 XRP, they'll probably need over 1,000. So yeah, probably 10 times more. And most of that will have to be from token burns as well.
Exchange markets, we know FX is 7.5 trillion a day, about 7.5 million transactions of $1 million on average. Banks and institutions would also save like billions and billions of dollars per year using XRP over the current system. And so I do believe there's a play here to be made. Ripple's partnerships now reach nearly 20 million merchants in Southeast Asia through payment service collaborations like Aeon Pay, and have expansion plans in Africa, Latin America, and emerging regions. Remember, Ripple.
The one advantage Ripple has over any other company is that it is growing everywhere, not just USA. Too many focus on just one country. That's a mistake in my opinion. If you focus worldwide, if you have the assets, then you could go do it because it pays off. It paid off for Ripple.
Just bought Rail for $200 million. They cover about 10% of the global's business-to-business stablecoin payments. Scott Bessent, the Treasurer of the United States, says stablecoins will go to the multiple trillions over the next few years. Ripple hopes to capture a lot of that business. Remember, it is now a race and a competition to who can gobble up all of the infrastructure for this new financial system.
Ripple already started building since 2015, so I'm not too worried about that anyway.
He who holds the keys holds the power. And then you also have Ripple solutions like Xcur and XRapid via when integrations allow banks and providers to link their own systems for instant payments, enabling true interoperability across different payment channels, legacy rails, and blockchain-powered networks. Some central banks like the Royal Monetary Authority of Bhutan, Saudi Central Bank, and Bank of Thailand, and major corporates like American Express and Bank of America have deployed or piloted Ripple-powered payment solutions. Also, hundreds of integrated banks, remittance services, and payment providers, dozens of country-specific payment rails and corridors, tens of millions of end merchants via enabled stablecoin and crypto payment solutions, and of course access covering 90 plus global.
So yeah, tens of millions of ends of merchants via embedded stablecoins. So what XRP Ripple is missing right now is just one key thing. Is like people who would use RippleNet, people who would use XRP. It's in very early stages, and where can they get this community is from the banks itself. They're waiting for that. They have the product already. It's not fully finished yet. I feel like it's 70% finished. Nobody knows for sure. I'm just speculating. But the most important factor here is they have the partnerships. They have the product. All they need now is people who will use Ripple. And they will use it unknowingly. They won't know they even used it. But they will be, suddenly my bank transfer is very fast. And this is how it will do it, RippleNet. They will handle probably billions every single day, which will and might use XRP to burn coins.
FX market. Here is a good piece of information why Ripple acquired Rail.
So Ripple have acquired a company called RailPay for $200 million. So Rail was one of the largest players in stablecoin for cross-border in business-to-business payments. I think they say that there's more than $3.6 billion of B2B payments moving through their pipes annually and growing very, very rapidly. It seems like B2B is this major theme in stablecoins. The Artemis report from a couple of months ago talks about B2B as being one of the fastest growing sort of cross-border payment types. So people see stablecoins, they assume consumer, but Kai, I'm interested in your perspectives here. B2B has always been a bit of a difficult one. Is this more in the like SWIFT territory than in the consumer territory? And what are your reactions to this announcement?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind with this announcement is it seems like there's this broader trend of the convergence of stablecoin issuance and orchestration, where we've seen Circle started as a stablecoin issuer with USDC. Now they have the Circle payment network, and so they're getting more into orchestration. Bridge started as an orchestration provider. Now there's USDB. Bridge is starting to issue stablecoins. Ripple, you could argue, started in a way orchestration, but with XRP trying to get that adopted as a bridge currency. I'd argue that it hasn't really seen much adoption there. Then they moved on to stablecoin issuance. Now you have RLUSD. And then now they're going into orchestration specifically with stablecoins. And so it feels like there will be more companies that do both issuance and orchestration. And I think the question becomes like, which is it the value is being the issuer and orchestration is just how you try and drive more adoption of the stablecoin that you issue? Or is it the value is orchestration and issuance is kind of one piece that helps you better monetize your, like how these two fit together, I think is going to be a really interesting question. And then what does it mean for the neutrality of, if you're going and trying to decide which orchestration provider, to buy from, are you making a decision of what if you want an orchestration provider, but you want to use another stablecoin that is issued by a third party? Are they going to be steering you towards their stablecoin? Are there going to be economic incentives if you use their stablecoin inside their orchestration platform? So I think that's the big thing to look for of how orchestration and issuance plays together, what the economic models are between them, and so I think it's a very logical approach from Ripple as part of their strategy to scale RLUSD, and Rail is clearly kind of one of the orchestration providers that is in the mix there.
Good information to have, definitely. Also, we talk about RLUSD stablecoin, X cross-border institutional partnerships, SEC case cooked, asset regulations on the horizon, limited time left to accumulate XRP. A lot of people believe the same thing. People are running out of time to buy these assets. Hester Pierce also posted this. Last week, the SEC's case against Ripple was finally laid to rest. A welcome development for many reasons, including that the mines once...
So yeah, I feel like that, the reason they bought a $200 million company is because stablecoins are becoming regulated now, which means if they become regulated, the US government can make money from them, which means it kind of, this means new retail investors will be pushing into this market of crypto. And that being said, new market means that they are going to increase. Like, as he said, trillions and trillions coming in. So they literally bought out to speed up their development for stablecoins as well. Not just for Ripple, not just for banks, also for Ripple itself.
Occupied with litigation can now concentrate on creating a clear regulatory framework for crypto assets. Crypto mom Hester Pierce has always been a big proponent for crypto and adoption. I'm so glad she's been able to stay in that job and be the angel on the shoulder when Gary Gensler was in there doing all this evil shit to the crypto market. Hopefully she was there to keep him under wraps somewhat, right? Ripple and Stellar are accessories to messaging and payment systems. We've seen this. I talked a lot about this just briefly. I just want to show you this. I also did a video about this new July Central Bank of Malaysia report claims XRP may replace bank deposits. That was a great video. Look out for that coming recently. And, we do look towards stablecoins as the future of finance and how money will be moved around the planet. I do believe banks will go to Ripple and ask them to use their technology to build their own stablecoins. This could be a huge demand for XRP and, of course, the entire XRP ledger going forward. Tokenization of financial products, stocks, bonds, derivatives, real estate, and debt is just the beginning. We don't even know what we don't know at this point. A few years from now, they're going to be tokenizing things. We're like, really? You're gonna
this is going to be like 10 years on. But yeah, that is going to happen. Right now, next 2-3 years is already going to be stable coins, and they are prepared for that. That's why they bought the $200 million one, like the $200 million deal. is they're already transferring 10% of the total business-to-business stablecoin market, which is very small right now. But they're hoping more businesses will start to use stablecoins, which will just boost XRP Ripple, right? This is just a major win every single way. Big XRP holders, look at this.
In here today, I want to discuss all of it with you. Data, metrics, what was done and said. Also, my own personal message about the price of XRP. A lot to put out in this quick video, guys. If you appreciate quick updates on XRP, type in X in the comment section. Click that like button. Let's get straight into it. Now, first, I want to talk to you about some very significant numbers that...
Yeah, XRP has been hitting some significant numbers, but I feel like the mainstream has not even come into crypto yet. That is because we are still getting the regulation. The regulation is not over yet, and the regulation is the main factor people are pushing for.
Came out here today and their importance for XRP holders, because we have the US Treasury here today post a 291 guys, billion with a B, budget deficit for July. Now, why is that important? For two reasons. Number one, this is the second largest of any Julys ever in history. So this is a very large number. Second off, we now have interest rate cuts in terms of percentage at 99% for essentially every single source out there that is worth listening to. Yesterday, we were sitting at 90, 95. Now, essentially every source out there is showing the chances at 99% higher for an interest rate cut in September. Now, yesterday, guys, I talked about how I wouldn't be surprised if Jerome Powell came out and stuck it to Donald Trump once more, because we know the games they play. But what this shows us essentially is that we are going to see interest rate cuts at some point in time.
I mean, interest rate cuts are already 100% certain, like especially in September. That's what is like 99%. It is confirmed. 99% finished that it will happen.
I don't know if it's going to come in September, but it will come, and trillions will come with it, flowing in globally, because it won't just be the US. We're going to see other countries around the world start cutting rates as well. Now, do we need to see interest rate cut?
I feel like, US doing interest rate cuts is like 90% of these countries will probably follow. If US cuts interest rates, then other countries will follow.
To see XRP moon? Absolutely not. And I want to talk to you about something Donald Trump said here today. I know many of you are aware what he said on crypto, but I want to play you this quick clip as a recap and to discuss what he and his son Eric said here today. Check it out.
Many Americans are unaware that behind the scenes, the technical backbone of the financial system is decades out of date, many, many years out of date.
So this is what I've been telling you guys. This is the most important factor that we are seeing right now. The economy is just getting better from the rate cuts. It's just one of the many news we are getting in the next few days. So let me just show you here what Vitalik, the creator of Ethereum, said about Ripple back in 2014. Look at that. This one. This is the most important factor. What Vitalik said about XRP in 2014. Now, this is the big news that we have been waiting for. Like, Ethereum growing, and literally the CEO or the owner of Ethereum is decentralized, talking about Ripple, really takes me back to the past.
Talk about cryptocurrency.
Sorry for the bad audio.
Being like the internet of value. We're not the internet of value. Ripple is the internet of value. We're an arbitrary processor for state transaction functions. Got that? We're not the internet of value. Ripple is the internet of value.
So yeah, he's saying Ethereum is not Ripple of value. I feel like this is taken out of context. He called Ripple, he said that it is internet of value, but at the time, 2014, crypto was a lot different. Ripple is doing different things, and XRP is doing different things. They were like brother in arms, and they still are. So here is the thing. Ripple right now is going for banks, and Ethereum is having its own growth. So you shouldn't be worried about one or the other, because both in the end will basically win. They will both serve its own factor. There's enough food on the plate.
Responsible, or being the kind of technology that enables this new world. I think when people kind of dismiss these really high valuations, hundreds of dollars plus, you can see it in a world where actually XRP is successful. So let's dive over to a more broad clip of what Vitalik said in regards to...
I feel like a lot of these clips are taken out of context, you know? Suddenly you have Vitalik saying something. A lot of the stuff he said on the internet, even about XRP, they're taken out of context. That's how it's taken out of crypto. Sometimes he calls some coins are better, some coins are worse.
Here's basically how it works. You have people in the system. Everyone in the system has a debt to everyone, can have credit relationships with other people in the system. Not everyone has a credit relationship to everyone else. I might trust Richard with some amount of money, but I might not trust some random person in China. However, if I want to send some money to some random person in China, there's probably going to be some chain of people where each of us have a credit line with each other. So if I want to send $10 off to my friend in China, the way that it works is that I would send $10, where by sending $10, that really mean I would cancel a debt, or we would agree that the debt changed by $10. And then my friend would do the same with his friend, and then his friend would do the same with his friend, and so forth. So Ripple is just a mechanism for automating this. So, as it turns out, Ripple is completely not a new idea. It was around in this concept of Hawala networks. Now, however, Hawala networks have been digitized and coupled with a decentralized consensus algorithm. Magic.
So yeah, if I understand him correctly, he was basically saying, you know, Ethereum is going to do its own thing, but Ripple hit a special market back in 2014 where it was really building partnerships. It focused on building partnerships while Ethereum was focused on building a product. So Ripple went out there and built partnerships. So neither of these choices, you know, one is better than the other. Both choices are good. So what Ripple did is it built over 10 years, you know, all these networks of banks, which now they are reaping the fruit, basically. They are getting their rewards on return. And again, I feel like Vitalik knows more than anyone in crypto. He's a really smart person. And I feel like both projects are good, and they're basically like, you know, friends since 2014.
So one of the big problems with Bitcoin so far is its volatility. You know, it's gone up from 1 to 32 to 2 to 260.
He's literally talking when Bitcoin was like $1.32. So this is an old video, but it's still like 10 years later, it's spot on. Bitcoin here was $1.30 when this video is found. Again, this is a found video that we haven't seen for a long time.
6 to 65 to 1200 to did it go to the moon yet? Yeah, it's getting there. So most people don't really want to deal with that. They don't prefer to just have plain old dollars, but still be able to use this sort of hyper efficient financial system in order to transfer them. So you just send them over on the Ripple network. That's really what Ethereum is. You know, people talk about cryptocurrency 2.0 being like the internet of value. We're not the internet of value. Ripple is the internet of value. We're an arbitrary processor for state transaction functions. Got that?
But that's a substantially more extended clip. I wanted to play that. You know, if you think about really the idea, and it started its life off as Altcoin, of course, initially invested in by the likes of Peter Thiel's founder fund. The clip that I'm about to show you is actually Chris Larsen giving a little salute to Peter Thiel, who...
So yeah, this is the most important factor, is how far, like only a few coins survive, and literally the ones that are building products last 11 years are the ones surviving. You know, meme coins, except Doge, which Doge was revived by Elon, so I feel like it's an anomaly. Like a lot of these coins didn't survive. It's going to be hard for them to stand out, especially now that crypto is getting more competitive. You know, even Ripple and Ethereum are one of the few ones that survived.
It essentially figured out a way for the network to send Bitcoins using distributed ledgers and to enable a kind of closed monetary system or an enclosed monetary system, a different monetary system. Whereas OpenCoin Ripple just said, okay, well, this technology is very useful. Let's use it to send the value of the world. And Bitcoin's value comes from the amount of value that it has on its network. Could XRP's, well,
So yeah, the thing is, like, XRP's value could literally come from outside world, not just from what happens inside crypto. That's why I feel Bitcoin can sometimes be slightly capped But Bitcoin literally surpassed Google to become the 5th largest asset. But in terms if we're just talking about, you know, there's other cryptos that might catch up to Bitcoin. They will never flip Bitcoin. They will never be bigger than Bitcoin. But, you know, if Bitcoin is 2.46 trillion, when it becomes 10 trillion, you know, XRP could follow. XRP could get its first trillion market cap.
Ends up enabling trillions of dollars, it has to kind of have that liquidity to do so and be able to remit that, which could see it have multi-trillion-dollar market cap. What I want to do is actually play you the clip now of Chris Larsen. Some of you are still wondering, what the hell is the internet of value? Well, Chris Larsen gives us a brilliant take here, and then we're going to conclude the video with a little bit of price action. Do subscribe, guys. We bring that heat when it comes to XRP on a regular basis. Let's dive into what Chris Larsen has to say about the internet of value when asked.
And thank you to Peter. It's great to see him again. But, you know, obviously there is a ton of noise within the blockchain space. You know, the thing could, you know, cure every ill in the world, and, you know, the truth is 90% of it is utter nonsense that's going to go away for sure. But what comes of that, I think this is a fundamental shift in fintech, and what we believe the big thing happening here is the development of a second internet. We call it the internet of value, so that value, money, assets will begin moving as quickly as and efficiently as data has been moving for the last 25 years. And we think that is profound in what it's going to do to the world. So while a lot of the attention in blockchain is around new currencies, digital assets, and certainly we, you know, work on and advocate for digital assets, XRP is the one that we've really gotten behind, that's really just a subset of a much bigger thing happening. And so really I think you're leading into a world where there'll be complete interoperability between all the money systems, ledgers, networks of the world.
So what to me is crazy is that XRP literally built up for its 10 years what its goal was, and it worked for 10 years through all those bear markets and never quit to get where it is today. You can see Vitalik talking about it, you know, before it even became a XRP coin. History. This is like the history of XRP.
And that's really what's missing today. So for example, we all know, you know, wealthy people, people in developing countries. I mean, we can't even really send $50 to Europe without it being all chewed up in fees. That's clearly a problem. Much bigger problem is the 2 billion people living in the developing world who need, according to the Gates Foundation, need to be able to send 50 cents to really be participants in the global economy. You can't do that in a system that's run by SWIFT and correspondent banking, where we all know it might take 3.
That's why, like, people use, you know, online platforms or whatever. But right now, what I see is, yeah, we need low fees means that there will be more productivity. With more, you know, sending transfers, basically sending transfers around the world means you increase the burn rate of the coin as well.
Days to move value between countries, and where there's high failure rates and the costs are very high. So, you know, we've been in the money world, we're living in a pre-internet world where, you know, before we had email, it was very expensive to communicate. You know, imagine sending letters, you know, nobody does that anymore. Using SWIFT is like sending a letter. You know, when you dropped it in the mailbox, you have no idea where it is, if it got there or not. So getting away from that, I think, is profound. And what we would say is that, you know, a lot of the backlash on globalization today, it's not because globalization is bad, it's essential. It's that it's incomplete.
So something truly monumental is taking place. I wanted to play that clip specifically because he gives Peter Thiel a little shit.
I feel like it's also an important factor is why Ripple probably focused on developing countries and partnerships, not just US, is because those are the ones that really need Ripple, right? Those are the ones that will really benefit from the low transfer fees. Like if you want to send $1 to your family member, it's going to cost like 30% of that. You're not going to do that. That's where Ripple comes in, and it will be almost free to send it. Really makes a lot of sense.
Shout out. And that's an unexplored relationship. Although, again, if you're familiar with Peter Thiel, read his books, by the way, they're brilliant. He's a truly genius man that's met with a lot of controversy, to say the least. Rightfully, I think so, more than wrongly. This technology was destined from the start. And many cryptos have basically came along to just distract you from it. XRP is the real
well
thing.
said.
If there's people out there still calling it a scam coin, the only conclusion that one can come by is that you've just not done your due diligence into it.
Yeah, I feel like this is the thing. Like people didn't believe in it because they didn't think it was possible 10 years ago. That's why the price was so low. Because it sounds crazy on paper to work with banks. But after 10 years, look what happened. Vitalik talked about it. Everyone talked about it. And this is the history, the origin of XRP. You know, how it started is like a vision to make these global transfers. And, you know, you got to think about 10 years ago, Bitcoin wanted to already be super regulated by government. It was like having a really bad reputation. So how is, you know, a cryptocurrency going to work with the government? It's going to be impossible. But with a new government change with Trump administration, it's probably very certain, in my opinion, my personal opinion, that XRP is going to be in some way mentioned or working. You know, it's already working with the banks, but with the US government, it's not out of the question. So we do have another funny video asking Uber drivers about XRP. Now that's the most crazy thing. Like, you know, crypto is mainstream. When you ask Uber drivers about XRP, you know that that's when crypto is mainstream. I'm not sure if this is a skit or not, but XRP was never meant for retail. You know, it's very hard to understand XRP. And a lot of people are talking about Bitcoin when you asked about them. But what about XRP? Like, there's doctors talking about it. Everybody's hearing about it because it's going like the next big thing. So let us check on that.
Today, I want to find out whether it's a myth or not that all Uber drivers, or a good majority of them, are holding XRP in 2025 and getting rich as fuck. Let's go. Gabriel is driving a Toyota Corolla. Hey man, I have a question for you. Do you invest in crypto?
Huh?
Do you invest in crypto?
No.
You don't hold any XRP?
I don't speak English just a little bit.
Oh. Okay. We are 0 for 1. This might be an all-day thing. And it turns out it was an all-day thing. Hours of getting into Uber after Uber after Uber after Uber after Uber and getting the same dreadful response. Oh, I had a question for you though.
Yes.
Do you hold XRP?
What's that? What's XRP?
What is that?
What is that?
What is that?
What is that? What's XRP?
It's like cryptocurrency, XRP.
No.
No. You don't hold any?
No. Oh no. I would say the answer is no if I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the Uber drivers just retired because XRP is at all-time highs. But then, on our 25th and final one, right when we were about to give up, we found a guy that actually might have known what he was talking about. And I got a question. Do you hold XRP?
The crypto?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew it. So essentially what we've been doing, we've taken 25 Uber rides and we've been doing a social experiment because everybody on crypto Twitter says that Uber drivers and Lyft drivers are the one that are holding XRP. They're the ones pumping the price because it's hitting all-time highs right now. And I've taken, you're my 25th ride, my last and final ride today, but you're the first one to say that you're holding it.
Oh yeah.
How long you been holding it for?
I got in at like $1.67. I probably won't sell again though.
Great to meet you, man.
Yeah, nice
Appreciate it. Do you hold any Solana?
Not Solana.
I know you got to go and stuff. We're in the middle of the street, but what is it about XRP that made you buy that? Like, why XRP?
Just for the simple fact that it was gonna be the new form of payment, and you could do transactions in like less than a second.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, appreciate you, bro.
All right, no problem.
Thank you, man.
Y'all be good.
All in all, we've taken 25 Uber rides today, and one held XRP. Case closed. It is not a myth. They do like XRP, just not in a majority vote. Thank you.
I mean, like, if you go to Finance Street or anything else, that would definitely be like a higher percentage. Just crazy like this happening. I mean, it's not fully mainstream yet. It's very obvious from this video. The last Uber driver will also own business soon. Driving for many years, you know, like people are saying, you know, XRP is the difference to financial independence. But it is, if you ask one of 25 people if they own XRP, that's a pretty good percentage. And there's about 3 to 4 million coin holders. So just know that this is not a small percentage of XRP, probably even more than 3 to 4 million. So yeah, while a lot of people hold Bitcoin, XRP could be the next big thing that people own. It's very clear from this video. He asked, you know, people he never met before about what it is. And I feel like once the government announces crypto, wow, like that is when it will seriously go mainstream. And I feel like that will be around September. So XRP holders shock the billionaires again. Like billionaires are talking about XRP all the time, right? Ripple CEO not sure where XRP army comes from. And the thing is, a lot of billionaires have mentioned XRP. They mostly mentioned Bitcoin, but many of them mentioned XRP.
XRP Army, welcome back here to the channel. They cannot figure us out. And this is a super interesting video I've got to make for you guys. In this one, we're going to break down exactly what Ripple's CEO said to Mike Novogratz. Mike Novogratz, of course, he is a multi-billion-dollar investor, and so many people are baffled right now.
Yeah, Mike Novogratz is basically a billionaire that made his money in the golden fund. Like, he made his money from stocks. He's a very humble guy, but he's also very big on crypto. He owns a lot. He owned Galaxy Digital, right? Or still owns it if he didn't sell it.
Future of Ripple and the future of XRP. So in this video, we're going to kind of break things down, give you guys our thoughts. We'll talk a little bit about the markets as well. Bitcoin just set a new all-time high. Altcoins have been cooking. Ethereum's getting close. XRP getting very close to breakout as well. We'll get into that later on in the video. Right now, though,
I feel like there's a lot of rich people and billionaires that don't even know they hold XRP because they bought it at very low prices. Like, for example, 10 cents.
Here, right now, hit that like button. Subscribe down below if you have not already. And let's jump right in to the video, guys. Real quick, sign up for the free newsletter, guys. Down in the description, totally free. You're going to get free alpha multiple times a week. You do not want to miss out on that. All right, Ripple CEO, he's not sure where the XRP army actually comes from. And during a recent podcast appearance, Galaxy Digital CEO Mike Novogratz revealed that Brad Garlinghouse had told him that he does not even know where the XRP army actually came from. He said Brad Garlinghouse has done an amazing job of creating, and I asked him a few times, I think, where does this XRP army come from? And he said, I'm not even sure. Like, they care about us, Novogratz said. Novogratz also had some words of praise for pro-XRP advocate John Deaton, who rose to prominence during the lawsuit saga.
So it definitely seems like that it is following like of the footsteps of same as like Shiba Inu, right? Because Shiba Inu community was created like in 1 week. Same happened with XRP. It formed really fast in like 1 month. And even billionaires cannot understand it. You know, it's not like billionaires have a crystal ball and can predict which crypto will go up and which crypto will go down. That was part of his community. He thought it was an injustice done to his community. SEC took Ripple in December. Deaton filed. You know, he's praising a lot of these actors or so-called heroes, you know, in XRP, friend of the motion of tens of thousands of XRP holders. Agency's actions were harmful to ordinary. Anyway, the most important factor here is even billionaires didn't understand that XRP will grow that much.
He took Ripple in December 2020 into the lawsuit. Deaton filed an amicus.
So, friend of the court, Novogratz agrees that XRP can be viewed as store of value. I feel like a lot of people will also buy XRP because the issue is Bitcoin only has one utility right now, while XRP has multiple. And it's cheaper to buy. It is cheaper. And that's where retail investors come in. So XRP is still the number 3 token. I used to be a XRP skeptic, like heavily in 2018, because I thought that it was over after lawsuit. I thought it was really, you know, could be like, I don't want to get too much into detail why I didn't. It's because I did not understand XRP. That's mostly the reason why I did not believe XRP. And I feel ashamed. I feel guilty because I did not understand it. I thought the regulation will never allow XRP to grow. But even billionaires used to be an XRP skeptic, which, you know, doesn't make me that afraid now anymore or shy. Alleged lack of utility, right? But this utility was built up over 10 years. We saw cryptos come and go the last 10 years. We saw crypto content creators come and go. We saw people come and go in crypto space. It's just a fast-moving industry. But you can see here, he was wrong about the token, which remains among the biggest altcoins by market cap. So it literally survived all the bear markets. It proved itself with development. It survived the lawsuit. It survived everything. So that's why I'm still bullish now on XRP.
Oh, and honestly, I look at this, and admittedly so, I didn't like the centralization when I first learned about XRP, right? And like this whole narrative of, oh, it's the banker's coin and all of this, right? But I quickly changed my tune once
I don't believe
saw
this narrative, yeah.
a couple different things. Obviously,
I feel like also a lot of people started buying it that they're not just in banking. I always thought it's going to be just the utility coin. It's never going to be used as a community, but this changed.
The community that's rallied behind here, the potential that XRP Ripple has, knowing that the institutions are coming in droves, knowing that this is literally the start of changing the financial system as we know it through tokenization, through the way money moves, and Ripple's got a stronghold and a footprint in both these key areas. He said in 2023, he admitted he was wrong about XRP, which remains amongst the biggest altcoins by market cap. And you can't deny anybody who was buying XRP in the bear market, that has performed better than any other crypto in the top 10, and it's not even.
It's probably the best crypto performing this year, not even top 10. No other crypto even comes close to XRP.
Even close, right? So earlier this year, he also stated he believes that people should be allowed to buy the token. Obviously, why would it be allowed? I guess he was saying maybe during the SEC lawsuit, a lot of the exchanges, took it off.
Like SEC lawsuit, like all the exchanges literally dumped the coin 90% down. This is the issue right now. When it was listed off, XRP, in my opinion, was undervalued. But you didn't know it was undervalued because of the lawsuit going on. So it was a huge risk owning it anyway, because you couldn't actually sell it except on one decentralized exchange, from what I remember. Again, this is just speculation, right? And the data we had from before. But XRP, is still going very strong. Now to this day, it's been listed back. It's now proven out as security, which raised a lot of confidence in investors or buyers, or just becoming the next big thing in utility. And it also raised confidence that crypto will be a utility. Life-changing XRP
Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lamp.
So yeah, it's 99%. 99%. Look at this. And we are having a bull run. But Trump said the Fed should lower interest rates to 1%. We already covered that, but Standard Chartered forecast ETH could reach 7,500. Again, I don't believe price predictions that much. People calling for $7 XRP, because it really depends on what will happen in 1 to 2 months from now. It depends if we get all the rate cuts. It depends, where are the rate cuts going to be. It depends what Trump says. There's so many factors. This is why I don't trust real XRP price predictions. But what I do trust is utility. Utility has been a forming factor. Now, the rate cuts are already priced in. And people don't realize that the rate cuts being, certain will only pump crypto slightly. It will definitely help, don't get me wrong, but it's not going to help as much as people think.
If we go back to the 17, oh, look at this, 91% now, look at this. Well, you saw the 99%. You saw the 99%. It's okay. So it's 99%, 90% or so percent. Right now, it's 91%, so it changed a little.
So 99%. The issue is 10% is because, as I said, the markets can change overnight. You never know what's going to happen.
So the 99%. It's okay. So it's 99%, 90% or so percent. Right now, it's 91%, so it changed a little bit because it all changes super, super fast. But we have the tweet, I'm not lying you, here. Today. So 3 hours ago, 99%. It's going to change, but it's so good that we got it live, how the probability of cutting is almost confirmed. I mean, 90%, it's a pretty big one, right? But it's basically confirmed that he's going to do it. And Jerome Powell finally, at last, is going to man this guy. Now, check this out. Trump already has some names, so I want to show you the names. Who will Trump nominate?
So I feel like Trump already has someone in mind, but Christopher Waller is 30% chance, but no, he's not going to reveal it to the public. And this is going to happen in May. Before the May, I don't feel like it's going to happen. But people are literally saying Jerome Powell. Like, some people bet Jerome Powell is gonna, like, he's gonna nominate him. There is 0% chance because Jerome Powell is retiring most likely in May when he steps out. He's not gonna step out. So the important factor is until May, there is so many scenarios that, could happen. We might get a huge crypto run. This is almost 1 year later when this will happen. Like December 31st, 2026, you can nominate someone, but for actual changes like next year, rate cuts, again, Trump is going to be in many years, like the thing we have right now.
Hoskinson, when you ask,
it's going to take many years for the change to be in effect.
Election year. So Trump won, and it just changed the whole thing. But then we waited like 6 months on Trump, tariffs, and a bunch of nonsense. And then finally, boom, we are winning again. So we might say that 120-something thousand Bitcoin, it's already the bull market price. That's it. It's over, right? Now let's come down. Question. Does it feel like it's over? Ethereum, it's barely starting.
Like, a lot of people forget from my research is that we are all-time highs in 2021. But now it's when the corporations are coming in. Corporations buying XRP, buying Bitcoin, buying Ethereum.
Barely starting.
So they're literally going to buy at peak prices, especially with retail.
BTCC.
So 2021 was way more bearish in terms of government for crypto. And they didn't like crypto that much. People are saying that that's why I don't feel like the bear market is starting. Because if it would start, people would already be selling.
That's you and me, guys. That's us. Drop a like, fam. Consider subscribing to the channel. Let us know in the comments down below how you're feeling.
I mean, that would be definitely nice to see, like, gains, but there is definitely an uptrend to be set here. Like, there is some parts to still have, like, returns. So yeah, I'm still wondering. XRP 600% climb to $27. Let's check this one out.
And I'm like, wow, why am I so stressed out?
So yeah, XRP 600% climb to $27, and it needed some time to climb back up. And we are seeing here XRP climbing and climbing and climbing. And we're following exactly Bitcoin's cycle model, which means it's going to pull XRP up as well.
Disagree in terms of where the thing's going to peak. Some think it'll be closer to 130,000. Some say 150, 170, 180. But where they don't disagree is that there's going to be a final parabolic surge. And that is where we get our opportunity for life-changing wealth. Not because of Bitcoin, but because of what that means for the entire market going ballistic.
So yeah, if one coin pulls us up, again, guys, this could mean the entire market will go up. So XRP goes up is also sometimes pulling Bitcoin slightly up, but the main driver of gains is usually Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes up 90%, 100%, what happens to other altcoins? They go up with it. Just look, when Bitcoin went up, it pulled XRP up, but it left so many cryptos behind. Now imagine when retail investors come in, they will be buying everything. And that's where the real money comes in, right?
Altcoins. That's what actually matters here. Here's that example that I was citing at the outset of this video. It's a post from chart analyst Don. This is how I came across this. But he said, look at the crime that was committed on the OKB chart. It did 200% in 50 minutes. Alt season. Actually, so I guess if he's saying alt season, that would be a third analyst that I follow saying that we're in alt season right now. Well, I mean, this is certainly the type of behavior you expect in alt season. Look at this freaking chart. And here's a live version.
So this is like a coin that OKX coin that grew 200%. So this tells me this is like a 2 billion market cap with a volume of 1 billion. What this tells me is their market is still very small, because if you can see a 100% increase in one single day, it still tells you the market can see in like 2-3 months, it can see a 100%. If all these smaller cryptos can get, you know, of course they're 1 billion versus 178 billion market cap. But here with coins, top 100 coins, literally going 50%, 70% up in a single week. Guys, it is insane. And it's only happening in crypto. This cannot happen in stock market.
Moment, but I think we probably dip into it shortly. As long as the green zone holds, we can target range highs.
This is what I've been calling, guys. Green zone at $3 and the red zone at 3.65. Now, there's going to be fighting on $3.9, in my opinion. $4.1, 3.9 is when the money will really start to hit.
Not that he's saying it has to happen or will happen, and we're above that at this point. But the reason I want to highlight this is because we are holding above that very safely, obviously. $3.27 as I started recording this video. Yeah, thank you. I will take that. So he says, as long as we can hold that in.
Guys, now imagine when people years ago were fighting for 80 cents. You got to look at the past. Before the lawsuit, people were fighting for 50 cents, 60 cents. They were dreaming every night for it to reach $1. Now they are complaining when we see 20 cent go down, 20 cents. So just take that in perspective, how much XRP has grown in the last few days.
Here's an update on the daily chart. It is time to break $3.33, and that's a level that tons of analysts have been citing over the last couple days. So it says time to break $3.33 critical level and rise through $4.44 levels. Upcoming targets, $4.44 and $5.85. Relative strength index bullish than ever. I think he means bullish as ever. Like as bullish than ever it literally doesn't make sense. But anyway, he says, chin up XRP Army. Your time is here. Enjoy the show. Oh, I'm enjoying it, folks. Absolutely.
So yeah, from $1 to $3 in under 2 months, or $1.6, it's already priced in. The XRP rate cuts are definitely priced in. A lot of the prices you hear, they are priced in. They are already known. Like rate cuts, in my opinion, they are priced in. Why is everybody talking about rate cuts? Does this mean crypto will grow 0%? No, but I also feel like when you get a rate cut, we're not going to get 90% growth for XRP, but we might get 5 to 10%, which in turn, like 2-3 weeks later, will pump XRP to, $5, $10, $20.
Here's a post from chart analyst Ali Martinez, and this is from this morning. It says XRP bullish.
Like there's a lot of predictions for XRP charts, but a lot of these predictions that we are looking here right now, they're great. They're good. They're made by very famous people who know what they're doing. The issue is we constantly get rejected at $3.30. And anything bullish, like a bullish news, like XRP rate cuts, would change this. So the XRP's realistic price here, your chart shows the inverse. If you're using historic data, then your target is in the range of $1.5 to $1.9. So there's a lot of people saying it going to $12, $3. There's different charts. But the issue with these charts is even a slight market or news change totally invalidate all of this pattern movements. They invalidate everything. Like people don't trade. Yeah, patterns are great for day trading, but in the long term, like in the short term, you can get destroyed by news.
Among other things, Bitcoin to $180,000 and XRP to $25, and Ethereum to $9K. So if that happens, like that would be enough money in the space where even I would be like,
that would be 2 trillion. So what Bitcoin is right now. So I don't feel like this is too crazy. I feel like $15 XRP is something we could be seeing in the future. Again, don't quote me on this, but I don't feel like it's that crazy as people think.
Landing there.
Line up near $4.6 to $4.8. Tension continue with several degrees landing there. This is a very strong confluence. For confirmation, XRP needs to break 3.66, our previous all-time high. We still have local resistance ahead, 3.41. I'll keep you guys updated on this as well. And the major target zone near 4.8. Wave 3 volume is obvious. It's not slow or hesitant, but strong and clear. Watching for today and the coming days. So yeah, XRP still has a strong momentum here.
Little bit. That is what's happening. It's already happened this cycle. It's just going to get
strong, solid move. Meanwhile, are already gaining traction. So again, a lot of cryptocurrencies are following as well.
All-time high here. I know the ripping.
I feel like that XRP will follow its price movements as well.
Already in. This would be the ideal entry for a position. We are just sitting above it at the moment, but I think we probably dip into it shortly. As long as the green zone holds, we can target range high / new all-time high. Now, he posted that on the...
So yeah, the biggest issue from this video, like the biggest takeaway, is $3.6, $3.3. These are the patterns you need to remember, guys. These are the patterns that we need to build support levels. You know, we have a support level at $2.95, $2.8. This is why it went back up. Once we can break those barriers, we can stay above $3.3. $3.66 comes next. And I feel like it could be very, very, very hard to break through $4. We need some catalyst news. So yeah, just remember that, guys. You know, until that, smash that like button and I will keep you guys updated. But yeah, Bitcoin dominance dropping is also a very good indicator of the prices right now.
Has been in place for several years. 2016/2017 vibes. Yep, spot on.
So yeah, I feel like also, you know, looking at 2016, 2017, the markets are way, way different than they were before. Way different. Like, you know, this is before even the lawsuit. For XRP, it's hard to predict. You know, the US government hasn't been ever bullish on crypto. And now they're suddenly coming in and getting bullish, and people are comparing to 2016, 2017 cycles. Now, you know, the pump is going to be slightly less, but there's still room to grow. 9.5 trillion would be nice, but I feel like, you know, you never know what's going to hit. It's crypto. Anything can happen. Guys, I'll keep you updated with more content like this. Be sure to smash that like button. Love you all. If you want more content, check out my other videos on the channel. I just dropped a new video. So it's out here just as I was streaming. Go check that out. Smash that like button. Ethereum also helps, right? It definitely helps the prices, yeah. But
even if you're just considering,
we have been streaming for so long today, 2 hours, and I'm gonna take a short break, or well, get some rest and be back soon. I'm gonna edit some videos now. Love you all. Peace, everyone. You matter. Always, you can message me, guys, if you have any questions. I'll be live.